Hello, welcome to our January Steering Team webinar. I'm Amy Siegel and I'm joined by Tina Wiseman.
Hello and Happy New Year.
We have got a fairly lengthy presentation today, webinar. We were totaling this one up, but it's updating goals and that's pretty important. So we're gonna try to start on time and end on time. If we go a little long, if you can stay with us, please do. If for any reason you can't stay with us, we'll have this recorded and posted on the website tomorrow. But hopefully we'll end on time as normal.
We'll try not to dally.
Yep, without further ado. So facilitating this month's discussion, we're going to go through the whole thing start to finish, just to make sure everybody's up to speed on doing the facilitation. The one thing that you've got to have done before you start the discussion is you need to have your achievement data updated. So make sure that that's updated, submitted, and meets criteria. We've actually, in the system now, you won't be able to start this discussion until your achievement data update has met criteria. If you need any help with that, please get in touch with Tina. Okay, I'm going to start the council presentation and walk you through the training we'll do with your council. And here we go. Hello, council members. My name is Amy Siegel, and I'm ASA's Director of Programs.
And I'm Tina Wiseman, Strategic Planning Specialist with the schools. We would like to welcome you all and tell you Happy New Year and thanks for being with us this evening. And so we're not going to waste any of your time. We're going to get right into an overview of the year. During the first semester, you were working on the actual implementation of the current SIP. So everything's in place, up and running. So as you can see, in September was the steering team update, getting everything ready. Also in September was the intervention kickoff. And then in December were the intervention evaluations, evaluating and making any in-flight adjustments as needed. During the second semester, you're going to continue implementing the current SIP, but at the same time, you're going to be creating next year's SIP. So what we're going to be talking about today is, given who we are now and the new student data that we have, we're going to be looking at achievement data and graduation data and other types of data. What adjustments do we need to make to our SIP? And so this is where we're at. This time we're going to be looking at the goals update. So we're going to end up the meeting with some good suggestions for priority areas of improvement, or as we call them, PAIs, and then also developing some SMART goals. This will then lead into the February council discussion, which will deal with the root cause updates, which then goes into the March meeting with the intervention updates. And then in April and May, the final stage of preparation, which will be professional development, the annual calendar, and resource securement for the new plan. I believe that's yours, Amy.
Sorry about that. I forgot to turn my microphone back on.
So it's okay.
So today's discussion is, as Tina said, goes over next year's goals. And there are 4 discussion points. As you look at your new achievement data, and if you're watching this online, the achievement data report is up above this presentation to your right. And if you're meeting in person with your team, your steering team will provide copies of your achievement data report. So as you're reviewing the new achievement data, the questions we want you to answer: what pleases you, what disturbs you, and what achievement gaps exist. Following that, you'll be looking at the current goals. For each of the SMART goals, you're going to be asked, do we keep it or omit it? And if we keep it, are we revising it in any way? The third question is, do we need to add new goals? And the last question is, any additional comments? That's optional. You don't have to provide any comments if you don't have any. I'd like to show you the discussion questions just so you have an idea of what those look like. So I'm in a discussion for our one of our pretend schools, and as you see, the achievement data report is over here. Just click on that to open your report. Here's the video, and then down below, part 1, review updated achievement data, and you'll see that we have the question and a box for your comments for each of those questions. And then you get to part 2, and part 2 can be long depending on how many goals that your school has. So make sure that you get through all of the goals listed for your school. So each one, I'm asked if I want to continue or omit, and if I want to revise, what revisions need to be made. And so I'm going to answer for each of those goals. And then I come to part 3. Do we need to add any new achievement goals? And then part 4 is right below that. As people are commenting, if your school is doing the online discussion, there may be more gaps in between because you'll be reading other people's comments and seeing what they have to say. But just make sure that you get through all 4 parts. Yeah. Return us to our slides. Tina?
Guess who did the same thing? You would think it was a new year. Okay, so after today with the meeting, then the steering team will now get together and review the discussion. Then they will recommend goals for the coming year, and then they will ask the advisory council for consensus on those recommended goals.
And that is our meeting for today. We'll stop here and the council can go ahead and discuss either online or face-to-face. And I'm sure your steering team appreciates your feedback. The advisory council and the student body are what drive the process. So thank you very much for your time and your effort in this.
Thank you.
So that ends our council discussion. Go ahead and close that out so I don't get confused later. We'll come back to our steering team. Okay, so I just want to go over the nuts and bolts for the steering team, making sure we're ready to open the discussion. So we go back to our VTA process, and in the achievement goals update, be scrolling down to that section. Again, when you get down to step 6, opening the council discussion, if your achievement data hasn't been submitted and reviewed and meets criteria, then you'll need to make sure that's done. You're not going to be able to open your discussion until you do that. But once that's done, you can click on the open discussion icon as per normal. And if you're doing an in-person meeting, you're going to put your date and time and location in. If you're only doing online discussion, put in, just say, indicate that. And then you need to select when the input will close. Since your submissions are due at the end of the month, you might want to make that a little bit before, so you've got time to get your consensus and get everything entered and submitted. So now I click send invitation. It takes a minute, depending on how many email addresses you have, it's got to go through each of those. So now I have the notice that the discussion is currently open, and if I need to, I can resend any, I can come back to this page and resend any discussion invitations that need to be resent. It'll also give you a list of it'll be steering team members and your council members who received the invitation. So come back to our slide, oops. To our slides. Okay. Well, I want to mention with you all as steering team members, again, and I closed the discussion, didn't I? Let me see if I can get that back. Not easily. So I'm just gonna, well, actually there is another way. If I go back to the process page, I can scroll down to my discussion, and in the step where I monitor the discussion, if I click on the edit, this will give me my link when obviously I'm not listed here, but if I am Jen Ross, I can click on this and it'll let me into the discussion. So remember that you all are monitoring and that as steering team members, you have certain privileges. If discussion gets out of hand, you can delete things. But you want to just make sure that you're guiding the discussion. The other thing with monitoring is that we have the option here for you to look at who has participated in the discussion and to email council members who have not yet participated. So as I'm looking here, nobody has participated in our online discussion. If we weren't having a face-to-face meeting and we were really expecting people to do this, we would want to email those folks. And we always we remind you to paste the addresses into your blind carbon copy field, because nobody likes to have all their addresses put out there. And then we give you the list and you can copy and paste that into your email program. And that's where you just want to go back and prompt everyone to please get in there and participate. And, especially if you're noticing we haven't had any parent participation, or, we haven't had any of our teachers participate, you definitely want to make sure that those groups are getting in there and having a voice. I think that those were all of my notes on that. So let me move back to our presentation. Tina, did I miss anything on?
I don't think so at all. Nope, okay. That sounds good. Okay. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the student body discussion. And first thing I wanted to do is give kudos to so many of you. This is probably the best year I've seen as far as student discussions. When I see the numbers of the kids that are participating, that is really heartwarming. When I see hundreds of kids participating in this, that allows me to know and allows us at ASA to know that voices are being heard. And I know it's very easy to pull a select group out for convenience or whatever purpose. But at the same time, there needs to be a way to filter that information so that everybody feels like they have a voice. And that's also, you need to remember, and those of you who have started doing this more often, I think they would probably agree, you're going to get more buy-in. Because once the kids are talking about it and they have a part in it and everything, they certainly are going to feel like they've got some ownership in all this. So that's definitely something that I wanted to commend those of you who are doing that more and more and more all the time. Nothing I'd like to see better than maybe 100% participation on that. So In the meantime, we are this time going to be adding the goals that received the most agrees during the student council discussion to the goals update discussion prompt. So you're going to break the students into small groups and distribute the discussion prompt. You're going to ask students to review the goals being considered and then check the goals they believe should be addressed by the school in order to help students become better prepared for their futures. And then give the students a chance to discuss their opinions and ask them to agree on 1 to 3 of the goals that they believe the school should address. And one of the things that you know is that with this one, the question itself is, I know you can't see it on the screen, but you probably have it there somewhere with you, is which achievement areas do you think that the teachers, students, parents, and community members should work on to improve this year? And Amy, feel free to chime in at any time. But one thing that you'll for sure want to do with students is not have the specific groups like you would with the adult group, with the council. You can color code these. You can, color coding works just beautifully with this. So you can pull out, pinks and blues and grays and greens and whatever. And then as long as one of you have the answer key, you're in perfect shape. So don't list the students. Don't list, the Hispanic students are doing better than the white students. And, obviously you don't want to get into all that. So definitely something to remember with that. But there again, get as many as you can participating and then let those kids see, because once they see that data, it really opens their eyes up as much as it does the adults.
Absolutely. I don't have anything to add to that. I think the color coding idea is a good one. Or if, however, whatever random kind of object to make that so we can see we're talking about different groups, but not necessarily identifying those groups. That's a great idea, Tina. So just to go over today's post-discussion tasks, there are several steps this month, and we just want to make sure that you all are familiar and comfortable with each of those steps. So the first is going to be, of course, the council discussion summary. And I just want to note, because we've had a few schools who had a little trouble with this time. When we're entering the discussion summary, come down here to step 8. Well, I set ours up to be online only. If I had set up our discussion to have a face-to-face meeting component, there would be more boxes here, and they would be for students, or not students, but parents, teachers, and community members. And you need to count up, your people who are at your face-to-face meeting, and make sure you enter that so that we see representation in your meeting. And then we've set this discussion up so that it mirrors the online discussion, which will be the same as your face-to-face discussion. So each of those boxes has a summary for you to put in. We also have a place for you to put in how many said to continue the goal, how many said to omit the goal. And yeah, and then the remaining boxes. So just make sure that you're getting in when you do have a face-to-face meeting. Make sure that you count up who's there. It's great for you to have a sign-in sheet and then cross-reference that with your council so that you can see, who all was there. Knowing you all, you probably have a pretty good idea of who everybody represents as it is. Of course, then you'll be entering the student body discussion summary. I think that is that's standard. There are no differences this month. Tina, is there any reminders we need to say about the student body discussion summary?
No, I just have really been, it's been gratifying to see, so much good participation, and I just encourage Others, if you're not quite comfortable with that, just give it a try, because I think you're going to be thrilled. And you all recognize by now, you definitely have material out of the mouth of babes, because
Mm-hmm.
they come up with some really good ideas.
Absolutely. And I know for our Update 1 schools, this is the first year that you're including the student body discussion.
Great.
If there are any, you have any concerns or looking for ideas on how to do this, give Tina a call, and she will share not only her experience doing the process, but the experience of all of our schools and all the creative things that they've done. And she can help you brainstorm something that will fit your school. So the next thing is updating your primary areas of improvement, the PAIs. And go back to the process. And so your PAIs from last year will be listed. Remember that we just have you do 3. These are broad. Your SMART goals should fit very neatly under each of your PAIs. We find that PAIs don't change a lot. The schools that are in Update 3, this might be the year that you all give a really hard look and say, are these still our primary areas of improvement? But these tend to be, broad areas, and it takes a while to move broad areas. But all of you should, have a look at it and make sure that this is still what we need to be, the broad areas that we need to be focusing on. And to edit, we do have, you can enter edit, you can delete. If you need to make an edit, just open your screen and make whatever change is needed and click save. And the same thing is true if you add a new one. You're just going to fill out the form, being careful to be complete, and save. And then your list would update. Any questions about PAIs?
I see none.
Okay. I am going to mention here, Tina is the biggest data geek that I know. If you all need some advice, she will gladly open your achievement data report and pour through it with you. That might be a really good time for you to schedule a team conference with her. And you might have noticed in your monthly update that Tina will be working on, starting on January 17th, she'll be working Wednesday evenings. Instead of working 8 to 2 on those days, she'll work 2 to 8. So if you all wanted to do an after-school meeting, give her a call and get that scheduled ahead of time. That's really the best way to do it. But if you're working and have something come up and you're working on a Wednesday evening, you can give Tina a call and she'll be there if she's not already got another group scheduled. So, but always worth trying her. Going back to the process page, the next of your post-discussion tasks will be updating the SMART goals. Again, you're using the input from your council and your student body. And we just add SMART goals as needed. This is a grade level goal. Let's say 7th graders. All students. Though I will say, we find that when we start getting into our subgroups, sometimes focusing on the needs of those subgroups can really hone in our root causes and our interventions. And once we start seeing improvement in different subgroups, if we have several subgroups that need help, we work on each one, and then we've really moved our data. So I clicked all students, but really, you'll find that there's usually a lot of power in making sure that you've looked into your subgroups and how they're doing. And then you'll add your benchmark, your historical data, and that should all be available in your achievement data report. You can add more data if you have it by clicking the plus actual, and then you set your target. So, and we set our targets 1 year out. If you'd like to set more targets, you certainly can. You just, again, hit that target button and you can set a 2019 target. So then we always have you put in your vision data, and that's because we want to be aspirational. We are focusing our energy on making sure that all kids can achieve. So our ideal vision data is always 100%. And then if you have any external expectations related to this particular SMART goal, you just put those in or check them off as needed and click Save. Any questions about entering SMART goals or editing?
I see none.
Okay, we'll move on. Okay, now the next part is for our council consensus point person. In step 14, we're going to encourage you to get in touch with the council. Send them the updated goals report and also this expectations crosswalk. Let me open that. Oh, this school wouldn't, this is one of our demo schools, so we don't have anything in there, but when you'll see that populated for your building. And go ahead and you can either make those into PDFs, those reports, just save them as PDFs from your browser, or you can print those off if you're doing a postal mailing. And what I've done in step 14, I gave you the information icon to get you to your Managed School Improvement Council page. And we have a choice here in the middle to contact your School Improvement Council members. You can, if you click by mail, it's going to download a file that you can do a mail merge with and do a postal mailing, or you can do email. Most people like to do emails, so that's the one that's usually selected. But we just want to make sure that we're checking in and making sure the question is really, can you support these goals? When we're looking for consensus, we're not looking for everybody to love everything that we're doing, but we are looking for everyone to be able to publicly support and work on these goals together in the coming year. And so after you hear back from your council, you can make edits to your SMART goals and review PAIs and SMART goals one more time and submit for review. And those are due on January 31st. Okay, I think that's all of our post-discussion tasks, looks like. Oh, just a reminder though, your rubric items are right here. So it's like a cheat sheet. Just go through and make sure that all of the work that you're submitting has met the criteria ahead of time, and that'll save your needs revision. If you go through the list and notice, oh, we forgot to do this, you can just go back and edit and then submit. Back to our presentation.
So now we're looking ahead. Welcome to the second semester. So as we said, you're still running your SIP the full year, but right now, beginning in January, of course, some of you know this, you've been around this block a few times, you know that you're starting to create your SIP for next year. So in January, as Amy just went through all of that, you're updating your goals. Now, then in February, you're going to update root causes. And you see that special notation there for you 3 schools, update 3 schools. Make sure that you have all the surveys complete before the end of January. Make sure that you survey at least 95% of your students, at least 95% of your teachers, at least 30 parents, and at least 30 community members. If you do a parent all call, you're going to get a lot better numbers. So just, you know, and community surveys, I know even if you have a small community, there are 1,000,001 ways that you can get that information out to people. You can go through your libraries, you can go through your churches. A lot of people, it doesn't matter who they are anymore, they have websites. And so they can always put it on a link. They have Facebook pages, they can put that on a link for you. You can go to community service clubs and just have it set up so that, you know, they can take the survey, or you can at least talk to them and show them how to do it. You can invite them into the school and have their meeting that night. There's just, or a day or whenever it is, but there's just so many ways that you can get that community input, and you really need it. I know it wasn't all that long ago that I was reading something and it said, well, the community didn't really have any idea what was going on with this. Well, that's on us. So it's very important. Remember, we're the fishbowl, and hopefully we're a really clean fishbowl. And so we want to be transparent. We want the community to see what's going on. We welcome this community input. And so we want them to know what's going on. And 9 times out of 10, once they see all the really hard work that's going on to help kids succeed, they're going to be a lot more favorable with what's going on. Just so really, really push and get as much survey data as you can, because as some of you know that have done this before, well, you've all done it, that if you're at Update 3 school, you get a tremendous amount of information from this that's really going to help you be able to glean through and find things in corners that you've forgotten even existed that will help drive your data, and those interventions you can put in place to help drive the data. So be really, go for it in January and really get those surveys piled up. Okay, and then in March you will be updating the actual interventions, and then in April you will be updating the preparations. The one thing I would beg of you, all of you, is that please stay on track. If you're behind now, have a catch-up day. I know there's never a time that's not busy. We know that. That's the way the world is anymore. But if you can divide and conquer on this and get caught up, then I don't want anybody sweating bullets or anything else come springtime, when everybody's beginning to leave, everybody's beginning to kind of sign off or kind of fall off the plan, and then it's left in your lap to get finished up. And I know that, that's a very tense time for that. And there again, you're not going to have the buy-in if you don't have everybody there going step by step by step. And you are a team. You are a village, so to speak. And so with that steering team, really, get those things together, help each other out, get things designated for each person to do, and then, really lean on your council for help getting that information, and really lean on, your student body. I shouldn't say lean on them, but, allow them to give you a lot of input, because it will make your job overall a whole lot easier than just trying to guess a moving target. So, just really stay with it.
And as always, if you need help, get a hold of Tina. She is a wealth of information. And the great thing is I always consider part of her job is cross-pollination. If there's something you're having trouble with, probably somebody else has had trouble and had to come up with a solution too. So let her give you the best advice from not just our experience, but from all of our school's experience. So don't hesitate to take advantage, especially of those evening hours. Those are a good time to have work sessions. But, you guys know, 5-second rule, get in touch with Tina.
We could probably have a contest that if I get so many people to call in or whatever to get help, I'll lose that crummy picture. A little more updated in this century. So, there's incentive there.
Yeah. Now, this would be a great time if anybody has a question. If you want to, there's a feature on your GoToWebinar control panel. You can raise a hand and we can unmute your mic and let you ask your questions. Or if you'd like to type in a question, we can answer that right now. This all went a lot faster than what I thought it was going to. It seemed like we just had so much material to cover, but yeah, so we've got plenty of time for questions if anyone has any.
Is there anything we need to review? We can do that too. If there's anything that, you're not real sure of, since we went through it the first time, now's a good time. I believe we have a hand raised, Amy.
Okay, let me have a look here. Jenny, great. We unmute Jenny. Jenny, are you there?
I'm not seeing her unmuted.
I hit the unmute. Oh, huh. I think she went ahead and typed her question.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, review the part about color coding. That was the student body discussion. Your idea, Tina, about instead of having listing student groups on achievement data,
Oh,
um,
sure.
giving each group maybe a color or an animal or symbol or an emoji or a I don't know.
The main thing is that when you get this, when you get your data compiled, the adults that are working with the student body, you get together and you know who these actual groups are, and then just assign them either a color, or like she said, you can assign them. Sometimes grade levels have mascots. They may be, like each room is assigned their special name or whatever. You can, play off of that. I wouldn't give it the room assignment because they're going to think that that's who that is when it's not. But there's all kinds of things. Like she said, kids love emojis now. So, you could assign different emojis or whatever you want to do with it. But the whole idea is that the kids can see the data without seeing who the data belongs to. And that's the important thing. So however you want to do that, that's perfectly fine. Does that help?
Let's see, I think check and see if we have a follow-up. So yeah, when you're looking at it, your
Okay.
achievement.
Thanks,
Oh,
Jenny.
Jenny says yes. Yeah, Jenny says yes, she's good. Okay. Any other questions? Raise a hand or type one.
And if you're sitting there with your hand raised, forgive us because we're playing with this online system. Okay, now we're up to 3 questions. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, those are all good.
Okay, I like the one. I have nothing, probably later. I agree.
Yeah.
That's the way I usually was. Let me think a little.
As you dive into this, remember that we encourage you to have a follow-up meeting with your steering team so that you can sit down and go through who's going to do what by when. This is a big month for our council discussion point person and the council consensus point person, but it takes the whole team to really make this happen. So figure out, each steering team member what they'll need to do. And as you're working through it, if you have any questions or need help with anything, I'm going to say it 15,000 times, I know, call Tina, send Tina an email, whatever you need to do. But yeah, she's here to help you. So make sure you're taking advantage of that.
And do remember with that achievement data that Amy, you might want to address that about what we can auto-populate and what we can't.
Okay. Looking at our achievement data, I'm not logged in as a real school. So
Just an overview, I think
yeah,
would be
it's gonna look, well, I'll just mention, we have put in the 2017 ISTEP data. DOE has not yet published the 2017 graduation data. I was looking back last year, they didn't put that out until February. So as we'll keep an eye on that, and as soon as we get it, we'll put it in there. But we have all the data from DOE dropped into your report that we can get from them at this point. So then you'll need to go through your required data charts if you haven't already done this. Oh, and again, this is not a real school, so they don't have any listed. But you'll be looking in your ASA required achievement data, and just make sure that you've completed each of those charts, and then submit that. And your report. Let me see if I can pull up. Yeah, again, this isn't a real school, so it's pretty sparse. But yeah, your report is the report you're used to. The real schools will have bar graphs and all of those pretty things so that people can look at longitudinal data. Any questions about achievement data reports or anything at all?
I'm not seeing any.
Okay.
Maybe later.
Yeah, maybe later. So, all right. Well, thank you all so much. I'm glad that we are able to get done 20 minutes ahead of schedule. If
We like
there's,
that. We know you do. So
yep.
that's great. And anytime you have questions, be sure to give me a call, drop me an email. I'm around. So, and like she said, starting on the 17th of January, I'll be working from 2 until 8 in the afternoons and evenings. So that works out for you. If you want to have a conference call, or sometimes I can remember when everybody finally left the building and it was just quiet. That was when the workday started. So, and I know a lot of you feel that way no matter what department you're in. So that's, if you have a question, then I'll be in on Wednesdays.
Thank you all so much for the work you do.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And Happy New Year again. Stay warm.